Hello, I'm Kate Jenkins, GMB Branch Secretary of Tower Hamlets branch, and we're here to set the record straight on a few issues at Bangabandhu School.
Hello, my name is Anna Lee and I'm a regional organiser with the GMB Union.
Hello, my name is Regina. I'm a parent of a child at Bangabandhu Primary School.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Ali. I'm one of the parents of Bangabandhu Primary School.
We're here to set the record straight about a few issues that have been going on at Bangabandhu School, and would like to give you some context of the background of what happened. We were approached by a number of GMB members in July 2016 regarding Marigold Palmer-Jones's behaviour towards them regarding a restructure. What followed from that was that a complaint was put in to the governing body regarding the behaviour of Marigold Palmer-Jones, and a lengthy investigation took place by an independent investigator. That concluded about 6 months later, and we were given a summary executive outcome of that investigation. That investigation explored a number of issues around Marigold's behaviour. And one of the main questions there is that Marigold had bullied the staff into signing new contracts that were of a detriment to them. What followed on from those discussions was that Marigold's behaviour breached the code of conduct, and following that there was a disciplinary investigation. What the governing body did then was that they appointed someone to do that investigation, and in any disciplinary investigation you would talk to the victims of what had happened. Within roughly 5 days, the disciplinary investigation was spoken to about what happened during that time, what Marigold had done. Within 5 days, they had done the investigation, produced a report that said that there was nothing to uphold, even though the first investigation, it was very clear that her behaviour had fallen below expected standards of a head teacher. Within 2 weeks of that outcome of that disciplinary investigation, the staff were not told what the outcome was, and within 2 weeks they appointed Marigold as the permanent head teacher. And what's followed on from that is that the staff have never been given an outcome, the report to their complaint, and still today they have not been given the outcome report for their complaint. And what the staff feel is that her behaviour, of how they felt bullied and harassed by Marigold's behaviour, is that she was effectively rewarded for that behaviour by being given the permanent job by the governing body 2 weeks after that disciplinary investigation was concluded. When we come out and leafleted the parents a couple of months ago to tell parents what had happened, we were concerned what some of the parents approached us and told us about their experience with Marigold. And there's been a couple of meetings now where we've met with parents, and we are concerned what parents have told us. And it's really just to set the record straight about that. We understand that the school have denied our leaflets and have said they're not correct. We have not given any misinformation in our leaflets. We stand by what has been in our leaflets. They are correct. And actually the governing body have gone to extreme measures we feel to protect Marigold and condone her behaviour of what she did to the support staff. And the support staff are very clear that they do not feel that justice has been done for how they were treated, and that they are seeking the truth of that report, what is in that report that was conducted by the independent investigator. And Marigold needs to be held accountable for what she did, but equally now the governing body need to be held accountable for really allowing this to happen and continuing to allow that to happen. And I know that some of the parents have also experienced some difficult behaviour from Marigold, what has been expressed to us. So I don't know if you want to
I mean, having heard about GMB's concerns about their staff, and we've seen the leaflets being distributed outside the school, it was quite shocking to hear, but that Marigold was conducting such behaviours with her staff. And then parents, well, as parents, we feel we're very concerned about how she's been treating parents and children at school. We've had issues, we raised them, we feel like we've been dismissed, our concerns are not being listened to. We've even approached the governing body, they don't seem to be listening to us. It just feels like we're being, our problems are being brushed under the carpet. We've had a meeting last Friday with the governing body, not the governing body, the chair of governors and Marigold, and it didn't feel like they actually were listening to us. They weren't taking our concerns on board. Something needs to change. Something needs to happen here. Yeah.
I mean, I think what has been apparent throughout this whole situation is no one's ever wanted to deal with it. You know, I mean, we've met with the local authority trying to bring this to a conclusion because it's very stressful for the staff, it's very stressful for the children and the parents.
Exactly, yeah.
But the local authority have kept their distance from this and have basically said it's down to the school to sort out. But as you've said, they don't want to listen, do they? They don't want to listen.
It's quite shocking. Everything you provide, they just deny it as it's not true.
Yeah.
It's quite unfair, actually. About the school education, I saw there was a banner outside. It says the report is by Ofsted that is good. I mean, as a parent, there are also other parents also talk about this, that it's not good. Good is not enough, basically. Some other school I saw there's a big banner outside. For example, Sonley Secondary School is outstanding, reported by Ofsted, yeah? And our school, Bangabandhu Primary School, is not even excellent. You know, I mean, as a parent, especially me, I'm very concerned about the education.
Of course.
You know, the previous teacher, Suzanne, that time the education was good. There was no problem. The staff was, you know, they were very happy. They were happily teaching the children. Now, every time I go to school, you know, to pick up or to drop my children in school, got two children, they both go to the Bangabandhu Primary School. Every time I see like there is a supply teacher, there is no original teacher. And whenever I see the original teacher, you can see by their face, basically, by their face express, they are not like happy. It's like, you know, because they were bullied, you know. That's why, you know, they are not probably teaching the children, you know, properly. So that's why, as a parent, I'm very concerned, you know, about their education. I mean, if same situation, continue like this, then I don't know what's going to happen to the future of the school. And last Friday, I went to a meeting. There was a lady, you know, chairperson, I forgot her name. She said there's every facility here for the staff. You know, the school staff go to Hajj, they go to their prayer room, you know. And I said to her, like, you know, the male teacher, especially Friday, they have to go to mosque. And mosque is this next door. You can't pray Friday prayer alone. So she didn't answer my question. And I said to them, I asked a question about the Marcia report. They said it's private and confidential, so they can't show us the report. So those are things, I think there's something hiding.
The governing body have never wanted to answer really the questions that have been posed to them regarding anything, and they say the school has got a good Ofsted rating. The school's always had a good Ofsted rating. That was the previous head teacher. Marigold inherited a good school, but what she did to the staff, how can, you know, that is clearly not acceptable to bully staff. And it's almost, they don't want to acknowledge what has happened and how staff have been left with no answers or outcome of how they were treated. Instead, the governing body are really sending a clear signal out that they're condoning that behaviour. And I know that many of the parents have spoken to me and they've raised concerns and they feel they've been shut down by the governing body when they've raised concerns. And it's worrying that when the governing body doesn't want to talk to parents, because actually it's your children and they should be answerable to the parents and answering these questions. And it is becoming a closed shop, that you cannot get any questions from Marigold, you cannot get any questions answered from the governing body, the local authority don't want to get involved, well, someone does need to get involved, because parents' concerns and some of the concerns that have been raised with us are very alarming. I mean, some of those issues are around child safeguarding issues, and parents need to be heard. And, you know, we know that the support staff have been shut down. The governing body don't want to talk to them or answer their questions, but that is unacceptable and it can't continue.
The governing body, I mean, you know, have backed themselves into a corner, and, you know, you've seen the letter that was sent out to parents, and of course at the meeting last week where they continually try and smear the GMB and its members, accusing us of being liars and, you know, denying parents access to the report. And I think, you know, they almost are in a situation now where they can't admit the mistakes that they've made, because, you know, we know this could have been dealt with very, very, you know, easily, relatively speaking, if the process had been followed correctly. And they chose not to do that. And here we are, nearly 2 years on, I think, and no closer to a resolution.
You know the letter you're talking about, I think one of the gentlemen, he raised about the letter, he even showed in his mobile phone, he took a picture. The head teacher actually completely denied.
Oh, really?
She said this letter wasn't sent by the school, actually. The pad is even from the school. So.
I think that just shows that they're completely in denial. It was a letter that they sent out with the children to the parents, and they gave to the parents, and now it's, we didn't send that letter out. Well, clearly they did.
Shows you how desperate they are.
And you know, it's they're going round in circles, because actually until they acknowledge what happened to the support staff and address these issues, and what we've seen is that behaviour that was demonstrated to the support staff is now being demonstrated to the parents. You're being brushed off. We're not going to address your concerns. We're the governing body. We're the head teacher. We know what's best for your children. Not what, you don't know what's best for your children.
They keep saying that, head teacher was saying that they are concerned about the education. They're working hard for the education. But why is it good then?
But concerns, parents are too scared to come forward and voice their concerns and say that we have problems with the school, because they're too scared what's going to happen to the children. They think they're going to be, you know, there's going to be consequences.
They'll be reported or something. We've heard that. I mean, you as parents, you know, what do you feel in terms of like going forward? Because certainly, you know, from our members' point of view, the trust between the staff and the governing body has completely broken down. You know, and for you as parents, because of the way you've been treated as well, you must feel
we have absolutely no trust in the governing body. We need a shake-up of the governing body. We need to see big changes happening in that school, because I as a parent don't feel confident that they are delivering the right education for my child.
But what message does it send to the children that the head teacher has been, there's been questions around bullying and harassment, and some of those allegations have been substantiated. If you do not address that and deal with that appropriately, what message does that send to the children? That actually you can bully, you can behave like this, and there is no repercussions. I mean, that's everything that we kind of tell children they shouldn't do.
In our society, we tell children,
no, you don't do this, and you don't.
It's affecting the children, isn't it? So I heard some of the children were talking about, you know, the head teacher is bullying their staff, you know. So it's affecting them, you know, and it's going to definitely affect their education as well. I don't think that they're going to concentrate properly on their study. So
I mean, we've heard, and I'm sure, you know, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, we've heard from parents that some of their children have come home and said that the head teachers bullied them. Never mind the staff.
I heard as well,
Children have been saying that they've heard her shouting at the children really loudly, that's been heard all around the school. She could be heard all around the school. I mean, that's just
I think
shocking.
Well, it is, and I think, you know, for the governing body, you know, the staff are one thing, but if they're not prepared to intervene when the head teacher is behaving that way towards the children, you know, that is very, very concerning. And is it going to be one of those cases where they'll only deal with it when something actually happens, something very serious happens? So for them to try and abdicate responsibility for this is disgraceful.
Who do we go to? I mean, if the governing body won't listen to, who will listen to us? Who's there for our children?
One of the child went to the shop. I don't know if you had the In school time, one of the children went to the shop. Actually, the teacher couldn't realize. I mean, there is 4 gates here. Used to open before summer. We used to open all of them for the parents actually, because some parents come this way, that way. You know, it's easy for them. And after the incident, they actually closed 2 of the gates.
Right.
And I told the head teacher, I mean, it's, for some of the parents, it's quite difficult, you know. With some of the parents coming this way, it's easy for them to see the gate. She said, oh, it's for the safety for the children.
Yeah.
I said, why did you make the gate then? I mean, you used to open before. I mean, you're making harder for parents, you know. So it's, you know, if you hear those stories, I mean, one of the child went to shop. I mean, who is responsible for this? In case anything happened to the children, you know?
Of course,
then who's reliable? Who's responsible for this? This is unacceptable. It's happening from this head teacher.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's definitely safeguarding issues there. As parents, we're concerned. I mean, we hear stories about children leaving the school through the gates, and there's, you know, like, it's not proper. They don't seem to kind of take it seriously, their duty of care to the children. That's a concern.
Well, that alone, you would think, would prompt the governing body to do something. And, you know, instead of denying that there's anything wrong and everything's hunky-dory, they would actually, you know, deal with those issues, even if they, you know, neglected to deal with the staff issues. But, you know, when, you know, children's safety is compromised in that way, then, you know, they have no choice, you would have thought, but to deal with it.
I just, the governing body just don't want to listen to anyone regarding staffing issues and parents' concerns. Okay, so I think it's been a really good discussion this morning, and we've set a few things straight, hopefully, for you. I think it's a consensus that we both, from the GMB's perspective, addressing members' concerns, that we're pretty much being stonewalled by the governing body in addressing these issues. Would you say that's a similar experience that you've had with the governing body regarding addressing your children's concerns?
Yeah, we're not being listened to here. They seem to be just dismissing our serious concerns that we're having. And there's no accountability.
Okay, well, we're going to have a short break now. We're going to bring some more parents and carers of the children at Bangabandhu School.
Sale. Massive clearance sale is going on from 1st November 2017. Salma Designer Abaya House is giving you up to 70% off on all designer abaya, 60% off on designer kaftan, 50% off on waistcoat, 50% off on Islamic books, 500 gram ajwa dates only for £10, and many more items. Visit our store to get this clearance sale. Salma Designer Abaya House, 118 Whitechapel Road, London E11JE. Telephone 02070182375.
Oasis Banqueting Hall, Barking, is East London's first choice for any occasion, offering a range of services and facilities to suit your needs. Whether it's a wedding, birthday, anniversary, or religious service, 180 to 1,000 guests, you can trust us to make your event truly special. Oasis Banqueting Hall, Barking, the perfect choice for your occasion. For bookings, call 0208 594 2222.
পিসিও ক্লেইমস মিনিক্যাব ড্রাইভারের বিপদর বন্ধু গাড়ি অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট করিয়া জবলেস হওয়ার দিন শেষ জাস্ট ওয়ান ফোন কলে পিসিও ক্লেইমস আপনারে দিতে পারে 24 আওয়ার্স রিকভারি ইমিডিয়েট রিপ্লেসমেন্ট কার স্টোরেজ অ্যান্ড রিপেয়ার সার্ভিস 02077917799
doesn't Dad come back home?
When a marriage breaks down, children suffer the most. If you are in this situation, we are here to help.
For Child and Family Matters, Kingdom Solicitors.
সেল 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 সালমা ডিজাইনার আবায়া হাউসে ক্লিয়ারেন্স সেল 1 নভেম্বর 2017 থেকে সালমা ডিজাইনার আবায়া হাউস দিচ্ছে সকল আবায়ার উপর সর্বোচ্চ 70% মূল্য ছাড়, কাফতানের উপর সর্বোচ্চ 60%, ওয়েস্টকোটের উপর সর্বোচ্চ 50%, 500 গ্রাম আজওয়া খেজুর মাত্র 10 পাউন্ড এবং ইসলামিক বইয়ের উপর রয়েছে সর্বোচ্চ 50% মূল্য ছাড়। আজই আসুন এবং আমাদের ক্লিয়ারেন্স সেল অফার গ্রহণ করুন। সালমা ডিজাইনার আবায়া হাউস, 118 হোয়াইটচ্যাপেল রোড, লন্ডন E11JE, টেলিফোন 02070182375।
Hello there. Legal Taxi's mobile app is an amazing cloud-based taxi booking solution. The taxi drivers and passengers can access this application anytime and anywhere. Are you trying to call up a taxi? Well, don't waste your precious time anymore. And now, you can book your taxi at ease. Do you want to know how? It's so simple. Download the Legal Taxis app from the App Store. Enter the location manually or drag the balloon where you want the pickup and drop to happen. Legal Taxis application shows the taxis nearby. On a single click, your request is sent to the nearest driver. The taxi driver will receive your request and accept it instantly. In return, you will receive the notification and you could check the current location of the taxi with the estimated time to reach your pickup location. At the end of your journey, you will receive the receipt of taxi fare in your mobile app. Legal Taxis app not only allows you to book regular taxis but also black cabs, mini cabs and hackney carriages. Book your taxi today for a great voyage at Legal Taxis.
Hello and welcome back to the discussion around Bangabandhu School. We've joined with two new parents carers who'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hiya, I am Sheikh Seema, one of the parents from Bangabandhu.
My name is Zakaria Hussain. I'm an uncle to a student that goes at Bangabandhu Primary School.
Okay, we've met briefly a couple of weeks ago, and I know that you've, as parents and carers, have been addressing some of your concerns at the school. Maybe if you'd like to give a little bit detail of what you have been doing regarding some of the actions you've done at the school.
Okay. So for me, it's just been a recent thing that I've sort of got involved in. My sister doesn't speak English that too great, and I've got other family members there. And primarily due to a lack of understanding, they didn't really understand the seriousness of what's been going on. So I attended the GMB meetings and actually found out what's been happening. To me, it's been unacceptable. The school haven't been really forthcoming with answers, so we've had to exhaust a lot of channels, and it's taken a lot out of some of the parents that are part of this group as a collective to try and bring about change. So what we done was we first petitioned. We had over 350 signatories on that petition. One of them, unfortunately, was taken down on one of the websites that we use. The second one's still up and running, and we've had a lot of interest and support on that. And the wider public are now, aware of what the issues are. We've had a parents' meeting on Friday, which didn't really go too well. We had the school head teacher there, a couple of members from the local authority, and the chair of governors. And the sort of answers and information that they're coming with, it's not adequate in regards to what we're looking for. They're not being forthcoming, and they're also causing a lot more confusion. There's a lot of mistrust and anxiety in the community around this, and rightly so. When we asked the questions around, Marcia Bandhu's investigation, we were just told that they can't say nothing is confidential. But for me, that's not good enough, because the school is there as a public body, is there to educate the next generation, and I think that sort of behaviour is not something that you can condone. And if there has been any actions taken to rectify the solution, we're not privy to it. So we don't know the extent of what the allegations were, but we do know things were upheld, and for me it's not acceptable. I live in Tower Hamlets, I've been born and raised in Tower Hamlets, and I've gone to school here, and I've never experienced something like this. And in this day and age, this is totally unacceptable. And like I mentioned about the school not being forthcoming, we've had to take a lot of measures to try and even get to where we are right now. Everyone here has kindly given up their morning to be here to try and raise more awareness, because we're not really getting anywhere with the school and the local authority. We had to submit a freedom of information request. This was done about a week ago, so the school have got an opportunity to respond. They've got, I think, about 20 working days left. So we asked them kindly, whether or not they can confirm Marcia Bandhu's investigation happened, if they've still got the report, and what the outcome was. So they've confirmed that Marcia Bandhu's report is still there and that the investigation happened. So now the next stage for us is to try and find out what the outcome was and what the processes are going to be moving forward. And we invited the school today to come along to give their view, but unfortunately they have not turned up either. And we're also getting a lot of confusing and conflicting messages from the local authority. So a letter came out on the 13th of October. I think we've got it here. I'll just show it up to the camera. So this was sent to all the parents, and the school have mentioned in the literature that there's a lot of concerns around false allegations being sort of distributed by a small number of GMB members in the community. But for me, the GMB are independent. They can't just go and back, the wrong horse. They need facts and they need, real evidence to actually pursue something. So when I questioned the school governors and the head teacher on last week's meeting, they said, "Oh, we don't know who sent this letter, but it's on school-headed paper. It's signed by the chair of governors, the vice chair, and it's got Marigold's details on it." For me, I've looked at all the other letters that my nephew gets, and it's the same headed paper. So there seems to be a lot of collusion or covering up going on. Secondly, like when we've responded to the Mayor, John Biggs, and also Debbie Jones, who's the Director of the Children's Services in Tower Hamlets or something like that, they've given back a response which I think is inadequate, and I think they're insulting our intelligence and our right to sort of mobilise as a community to champion everyone's rights. I think these issues are not isolated, and I think it's affected a lot of parents, hence why there's a lot of fear around this. Some of the parents are not comfortable even, coming here because they're worried about certain repercussions happening. And the rhetoric around this is, "Oh, you shouldn't be getting involved." But I think we as a community have got every right, especially in 2017, to actually go and make a stand for our children, because for us, it's them having the right start in life, being taught accordingly, and that the school is responsible for ensuring that happens. We've tried local councillors that are elected in that area. They're not interested. So we're having to do these things to try and get our voice heard, where we shouldn't have to go to this degree. But I'll pass it over to Seema, who's sort of...
But yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like we keep hitting a brick wall because the governors do not want to address the staff's concerns. Local authority don't want to get involved. Where do you go beyond that? If the local authority doesn't want to get involved and the governor's not taking any responsibility or dealing with any of these issues, from us as an employment perspective is difficult. But as parents, I mean, that's shocking, really, isn't it? Where do you go? Have you tried contacting your local councillor?
What's concerning is, obviously, when something like that takes place, you want to be heard, you want your concern to be addressed, or you need to go to the right person. First of all, obviously, the head teacher's not compromising. So then we have the governors, school governors, and clearly they have no interest. And that's what's concerning, that how are they backing and covering such issues? And they are allowing it. And if this is being allowed, can you imagine how it will be further on? Because it has been praised what she's doing, and it is not acceptable, because bullying, no way.
I think we've experienced a similar situation to you. I mean, Kate and I met with John Biggs a few months ago, and we've had no response at all. I've written to him again, no response. I contacted Unmesh Desai about this problem, and I was referred to go back to Tower Hamlets again. So, it is... You almost feel like you're going mad, don't you? Like no one's prepared to listen to you.
Exactly.
And I think that's why, it's been so good for the parents to take ownership of what is going on there, because at the end of the day, that is a community school. It's there for the community. It's not there for the governing body. It's not there for the head teacher. It is there for the community. So for you to be able to do this is fantastic. And to bring that together with what we're trying to do with the staff, it's been going on a long time already, but I think we are going to find their position is just not sustainable.
I reckon they should have a new, we should elect new governors who can reflect to real parents, because few of them are not parents. So therefore you find you can't say something, there's a brick wall to it, you can't address anything, and all you see is just clear support on the other side. There's no like, oh, here we go, we're here, we're listening. Same goes with the local councillors. It's really concerning because, like you said, we're just going around and no one is listening. So it is very, very worrying now because there could be other incident, and is this how they would treat it?
Yeah.
Well, that of course that is a concern, and it's a right worry I think that we all have, is that given their lack of response to the issues that we've raised, and as parents, and I wanted to ask you that I know that some of the parents are worried about coming forward and speaking up some of their concerns.
I've spoken to many of the parents, and that's why we're doing this as together as a community, because they feel like if they come, they might be treated differently, or the child might be treated differently at school. But you shouldn't feel like that. We should be feeling safe as anything because they're under the care of the child. Absolutely. You shouldn't be felt as a threat, or your child's at a threat because you are sharing your concern.
No.
It should have been dealt with. But they're coming across, they're saying how they are manipulating them by using the word, you might need to be visited by social services, which is quite threatening. So I can understand why many of the parents are not coming forward, but are coming to us and saying these are the concerns. But please, we are there and we want to support you.
So really, it's fear, isn't it? So
yes,
there's a lot of fear being put into parents that if they come forward and raise their concerns, that there will be repercussion for them. Or
okay. And the schools, they're not taking us seriously. It's 360 signatories as of today, and we're representing every single person. And this has spread far and wide, and it's not just in Tower Hamlets. Other people feel the same way up and down the country. So we're in contact with these people, and we're giving them regular updates. And every single time we're coming to a stumbling block and we're replying back to our sort of collective group, it's very disheartening, but we're motivated and we know there's things that are going to happen. And in the long run, it damages the school, it damages the integrity of the organisation and the local authority that we all live and work in.
Yes.
And I think moving forward now, it's just there needs to be an open discussion, there needs to be accountability, and they need to be forthcoming. Like when we went to the meeting on Friday, there seemed to be a lot of concern as to who was a parent or how are you related. We're all here because of the fact that our children are our priority. And we give our children to school and they should be safe, and the teachers should feel safe because the teachers are the ones that are the educators. If they're under stress, if they're not feeling up to it, or they're being harassed and bullied, it's going to be taken out on the children. We've seen so many supply teachers come and go, and the school are trying to do a sort of PR campaign with the council telling us that Bangabandhu is a good school. But for us, good is not good enough. It should be good. You're meant to make sure the school is good, if not make it better. But for me, it's the rhetoric that they're putting onto us, and primarily most of the kids and the parents, people like us, are from black and ethnic minority groups. I'm not saying there's institutional racism going on or something like that, but to me it feels like our voice is not there. Secondly, moving forward, they haven't come and said, okay, this is the next stage of what we're going to do. When we spoke to the people responsible, the head teacher and the governing body, that, oh look, we want to speak with you. I'll speak to you individually. And to me, it seems like divide and conquer. We'll deal with you separately and try and shut you up. But we made it very clear that we are then going to sit down collectively and represent everyone's view. And we're very organised. We've got teachers who are professionals, who are in the school, and also parents who are professionals and understand the system. The teachers themselves, I genuinely believe, personally, that this would not have gone this far if there was not a factual claim by them. But for us, it's now, we know what we're doing and we know what we have to do. We've got an MP who is going to be supporting our claim, and we've got a meeting with her very, very soon. We've also got the Freedom of Information request that's been submitted. We've got the petition. We're writing letters of complaint. And I think that throwed the school a bit because they didn't think that we could mobilise and be as effective as we have been. But the message to everyone is that we're here, and it's not just 5 or 6 people that you might see today. It's the whole community supporting this, and it's everybody of all backgrounds, faiths, religions. Because I think the underlying message here is the fact that bullying, religious insensitivity and harassment is not going to be tolerated at all. And I think you've seen in recent press around Harvey Weinstein and other issues in Hollywood, this stuff is public knowledge. There should not be an element of confidentiality around it. If something has happened, put your hands up, communicate with us that mistakes have been made. The head teacher on Friday turned around and said, oh yeah, mistakes have been made, but what mistakes? When questioned further, It's just, oh, you can interpret it the way you want. So we don't know whether or not she's lost 2p or stationery's gone missing, or that actually she's contributed towards this. There's no ownership. And for me, as Seema mentioned, I think we need fresh elections for parent governors, people who actually care, not just there for the title and just there for, oh, I'm a parent governor, I'm a governor of this school. Because for me, it's, where's our voice? You know, it needs to be representative of the community, the parents, and also with, you know, my opinion, how the school's been run and what's been going on. I think certain people's positions are untenable now. There needs to be a fresh start. These things cannot be condoned, and I think the local authority should be ashamed, because here in Tower Hamlets, we've got a big drive around, you know, No Place for Hate, and we had National Hate Crime Awareness Week last week. So we see this literature and we see the message that we want to portray. It has to start from the top down. You know, if we as people are accepting this and we want to live in a society which is free and it's diverse and we promote these things, someone in a position like that and also the governing body need to be working with us to make sure that everyone's rights are respected and not brushed aside. Because for me, the fear is it's going to continue, or it might affect someone else another day, or it might be something else the next time, and we can't be going into the local authority and the school need to just draw a line underneath this and say this isn't good enough and this is what we're going to do. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everything we've kind of said is that we've been stonewalled from the local authority, the councillors, the governing body, and it's being replicated. Is that your experience as well? And it's we don't want to deal with this.
They've turned around and said to us on the Friday, we can't discuss anything, please contact Tower Hamlets Legal Services or contact Tower Hamlets Press Office. But for me, this is not a press issue. This is not about PR. This is about genuine concerns.
Which has been effective to our children in between all of this, because then you've got teachers that are being upset and not attending school, clearly, because they're missing for some time, and then you've got supply teachers coming in, and then they're getting no whatsoever learning. So it is really concerning now that you have to see this. And
also, for me, Bangabandhu is a school. It's like every other school. We've got 5 to 11-year-olds in the school. And secondly, you've got children who are special educational needs, who've got physical disabilities. I'm worried about is the right care given to every child. And secondly, with that environment and the children being so young, it should be a positive message relayed from the top down. That these are the things that we stand for. These are the things that we want to promote. And clearly, this is something that every parent is concerned about, because it's coming from people in a position where they've got a level of responsibility, and they should be the good example and the positive role models to everybody in that community, because the school is a background and is one of the main staples of a community. I think most people meet each other there, children make friends there.
It's not welcoming anymore. As back then, I would say it was quite enjoyable to go into school and having to be open, talk, you know, being part of the school. But now it's just like a closed barrier. It's just...
That's the position they've adopted now,
that's
isn't it?
Yeah, it's a dictatorship. Some of the parents on Friday raised concerns about how their children have come home, and after being prompt that, you know, they actually don't want to go to school because they're scared of so-and-so. And a child to be scared, for me, my background's in sort of education, I've worked with young people, it's a child protection concern. No child should be made to feel that they're in fear. And we've had issues where children have been really, really affected, that they've gone home and they're feeling sick and unwell. And it's not conducive to, you know, maintaining the well-being of that child. And I think, Seema, you've had issues around lunch and other things.
Yes,
you know.
My son's been deprived of lunch. And as a parent, I wouldn't wish that upon any child, because obviously his was under their care at that time. And whether or not, whatever the situation is, if he was in your office, you should have acknowledged, has he got lunch, or you should have brought the lunch in the room. And he was a year 2 student. Very, obviously, confidence level quite low. So if he's gone into the lunch hall and seen junior kids, he's obviously left and had a long day, went to the playground, silently played, come back. There must have been a supply teacher in the class, mentioned 3 times, look, I'm feeling sick, dizzy. They did not acknowledge him. If they was to acknowledge him at that time, they would have known what the issue was there and then. Have you had lunch? Have you ate something? But no. And then once this has been reported to the head, it was like not bothered kind of issue. Like, I couldn't even get a nice sorry out of her. So I said, do you know what, you need to be sorry to my son. Not me, to my son. I had to bring that out of her, which was so shameful. I thought, wow, is this the attitude you carry? So then I told her, look, I am not satisfied and I'm not happy with the way you've dealt with this. Not even the teacher that was in the class hasn't even come and approached and said, you know, I'm really sorry for that. So it's just, how are they doing
it? It's a sense of no accountability. No one has to answer you as parents or explain the reasonings. No. And we will not communicate with you as parents in an effective manner. And actually it's very patronising and condescending in the way that they refuse to really engage with you around your concerns.
I think also with this local authority, you know, in the last couple of years, you know, we're in, you know, extreme measures when it comes to child protection in the schools and stuff. And that is something that was hidden from the public for quite some time. And it only came out recently. And it was a huge shock to everybody that this is the state of affairs in the borough. So I'm not surprised. And I think you'll probably see from people watching this that there might be other issues going on now, because as a local authority, we're not taking ownership of anything.
No.
We're not responsible for anything anymore. And it seems to be, we're going to blame this and that, or someone forgot or got out of bed the wrong side, and it's just not good enough. And when we highlighted that on Friday, and we said to them, look, if that is something that our borough is capable of doing to the general public, I'm not surprised that you're going to sit there and just turn around and say, we can't say nothing. And you interpret it the way you want. Is that what we want from our school? It should be a welcoming place. And how we look after our children, and everyone's there. Children are the most important thing. They're more important than money, they're more important than your possession. You're trusting someone to look after your own flesh and blood for these hours out the day, and you want the best service. That Friday was really, really embarrassing. Really embarrassing. They came in and they turned around and they thought they're going to appease us and as a community, that we're going to sit and talk about maths and English, that we're so illiterate and ignorant that that's going to be good enough for us. We asked them, and rightly so, we demanded, and we had to walk out in protest because of the fact that we're not getting anywhere. Everybody walked out, and one thing the school has done, and we can prove it, is that from this literature, they're now saying that they didn't know nothing about it. This meeting that happened on Friday, there was no announcement, oh, you guys should come and, you know, hear this.
We had to physically go.
As soon as we went in and they saw the crowd, the local authority lady, I forgot her name, turned around and said, oh, yeah, if you want to speak about this issue, it will have to be a different day.
Well,
this is
and
the
that's
most
the
pressing
sense,
concern.
is they just don't want to talk about any of the issues that the parents or the staff or the unions we want to talk about, and they are the most probably the important issues at the moment with regards to getting the school back on track and getting it, delivering it for the children.
I think they can't believe that parents have mobilised the way they have, because I know the first time we leafleted the school, and that's when we got to hear what the parents were feeling about it. And, you know, I'd asked a few parents, well, have you complained? Have you put it in writing and all that? And they said, yeah, we have, but no one's listening to us.
They're still on the process. They're still waiting for the answer.
Exactly. But the fact that, you know, the community has mobilised and basically frightened, you know, the living daylights out of the governing body. I mean, you know, and they're in complete panic mode now. They just don't know what to do.
And they could have avoided all this.
So easily.
When we sat there on the Friday, the chair of governors, she affirmed the statement that was given out that, oh, the GMB are lying. So when pressed further, so is Marcia Van Loo's report correct and accurate? No, nothing was upheld. The allegations are false. So you need to give to us factual things, give it in writing.
I mean,
we went to a degree where one of the parents, Regina was on earlier, she's a professional. We minuted everything and we gave it to them. And they were surprised that we've taken things and we're doing things correctly. We're not, you know, having to protest or anything. Like, we're doing things correctly. We know our rights. We're educated, and we are going to pursue this. And I think for us, where some of the community might not have English as a first language or might not feel confident with emails or letters, we're all doing things collectively, and we've got so much support behind us. It's fantastic, and it's such a nice thing to see that everyone's united. We want the same thing, and I think that sooner rather than later, they're going to have to sort of toe the line and
it's
give us what we
almost
want.
that the governing body are in shock that the parents have actually dare challenge anything about their children's education or the school or how that's run. It's
they're there to work for us.
It's quite condescending, really, isn't it?
They're there to work for us. It's a public body. Everyone is employed by the local authority. It's taxpayers' money that's going in. We want the best service. They're turning around telling us this rhetoric, oh, Bangabandhu is a good school.
But they don't understand.
Like as if the only school in Tower Hamlets is Bangabandhu with a good status. It should be outstanding. And if there's anything big or small, if any parent wants to raise something, it should be the number one priority. Whether it is something meager like, oh, maybe school dinner fees or something, or in the future we might have an issue on stationery. But they need to listen to everything. Whether it is small, like we are entitled in this country when we go to a shop. If we're not satisfied, we get refunds. We've got all these bodies that are there responsible to make sure that we've got our consumer rights. We know our rights when it comes to pursuing this, but we're having stumbling blocks every single time. We've gone to the head teacher, nothing's happened. We've gone to the parent governors, nothing's happened. We've gone to the local authority. It just seems to be like a huge PR campaign, but the truth will come out. And what happens then?
It is. I mean, they've tried to suppress the truth of the bullying of the staff. And, you know, what we put in the leaflets was not the opinion of the GMB, not what we thought. It was the conclusion from the investigation. And, you know, for them to suppress that and their only defence is, oh, the GMB are lying, the members are lying. And the way they've tried to smear the GMB and our members is, you know, exactly the same as the contempt they've shown for the parents.
Yeah, I think there needs to be repercussions, because for me personally, teachers are the backbone of this country, the economy and our future. And I think they're not going to just get up and strike or go off sick for no reason, because for them, some of the teachers, majority of them, it's not about the money or the income, it's about that passion for their career. And also, they've studied and they've sacrificed many years of their life to be in a position to educate the next generation. And I think it's more than just a job for them. Teachers will go above and beyond what they need to do for the sake of children, because they've got a relationship with that child. And I think the fact that they're not being championed, their concerns are not being listened to, especially the parents. I think the teachers themselves, they understand the responsibility towards the parents. We're their bread and butter. Without, you know, the children come to school, then there's no opportunity for them. But the message from the governing body and the head is, we'll do what we want, unless there's something wrong, it's fine. But we're telling them it's broken. We're telling them that it's broken. We want answers, and we really, really hope for a solution. The rhetoric given out on Friday was, you remember the local, oh, you guys are after blood, and we think you're bullying us. And I think that's very, very, you know, weak coming across from these people. And I think it's a tactic that they're probably going to use. Just because we've mobilised ourselves, that's because we've organised ourselves. We're writing complaint lists. For us upholding our rights is now we're trying to tarnish and target. It's not.
Okay, I would like to thank the parents and carers for coming today, and all the parents that have been supporting us and our members. If you have any queries around the distribution of the publicity that the GMB have given out, please do contact the GMB directly, or look at our website, or contact myself or Anna, and we'll happily clarify any of the points that have been raised. Thank you.